Now, even after today, it seems that some of our politicians still will not learn. More billions of taxpayer dollars does not necessarily equal better results at school. And in fact, you might think the opposite, judging by some results today. Look at these results from the Program for International Student Assessment. Australian students keep getting worse and worse in maths, reading and science, the basics. Compared to, say, Chinese students who also did these tests, our 15-year-olds are now 3 years behind in maths. And get this, in this period of academic decline, say the last decade, governments have lifted spending on education by 14% per student, 14%. And we get these results? Whatever we've been funding, it doesn't seem to be working. Here's Education Minister Dan Tehan.
Money's important. We've got to make sure that we invest into schools. But I think we all now realise that equally as important is student results and outcomes. And that now needs to be the focus. We've got to put aside this obsession that some have on money, money, money and refocus on results and outcomes.
Look, that sounds good, but I need to see some follow-through here. We've heard that before. But as for Labor, it still cannot stop pretending that all we need is yet more billions of dollars of extra spending.
This alarming slide in results has been coming for some time, and it's because the government has turned its back on improving our schools and turned its back on properly funding our schools.
Now, to discuss this, I'm joined by Dr. Fiona Mueller, Education Program Director of the Centre for Independent Studies. Fiona, thank you so much for your time. I know you've had a busy day. What's the most worrying thing about these numbers?
Thank you for the invitation, Andrew. The most worrying thing really is the effect on our children. So what we are seeing is the failure to ensure that all of our students across the country, no matter where they live or the backgrounds from which they come, are able to leave school with confidence, competent in the various areas that we have deemed to be critical for preparation for life after work. And our first Prime Minister, Edmund Barton, said it was the duty of the state to educate. Clearly, we're not doing that for all children.
Now, in fact, we're doing worse at that, apparently. We're now ranked at just 18th compared to other countries. Can I ask you a couple of things that, have concerned me for some years now? For instance, a lot of the spending, extra spending we've done over the past 10 to 20 years has been to hire yet more teachers and get smaller classrooms. And that obviously, it's got to mean lowering the standard of the average teacher that we hire. Can I ask you, what would actually have been better? That we have bigger classes with the very best teachers, or smaller classes with sometimes not so great teachers?
The OECD, which of course also designs the PISA tests and reports back to us on a wide range of data, has told us repeatedly, so over many years, that simply spending more money is not a guarantee of improvement in learning outcomes. So I think that is an absolutely crucial issue, the number one question we should be asking. And I should point out, I was told by a very senior person in one state sector just a couple of weeks ago, we're swimming in gravy. We've got plenty of money in our schools. So clearly the funding has been generous. The money is there. State and territory governments are able to allocate money where it is needed. The big question is how we spend it. And that's what the OECD has reminded us again.
And study after study says, well, also obviously family culture is very important, but also excellence of the teacher is very important. Can I just run by you another thing that really worries me? I heard the Education Minister say today that some countries that do much better than us have got a much more focused curriculum that, focuses on the basics, the kind of thing that obviously being tested here. In contrast, can I just ask you to comment on this? The level 3 and 4 curriculum for Victorian students, obviously still in primary school, Now, first, the basics are obviously covered in this curriculum: English, geography, history, maths and science. That's good. And then on top of that, there's the stuff you might want for a more rounded student: drama, music, visual arts, phys ed. But here's the thing, Fiona, what's really crowding out the curriculum for primary school kids, at least in Victoria, incredible: civics and citizenship, critical and creative thinking, design and technologies, digital technologies, ethical capability, intercultural capability, and media arts. Fiona, is that one of our problems right there? Too much mush and too much of everything?
That's a great word, mush. It's important to note that a number of the items you listed, intercultural capability, digital technologies and so on, are absolutely a part of the national curriculum, the Australian curriculum, that was agreed to back in 2011, and then it was reviewed in 2014. So all ministers, all education ministers signed up to a curriculum that included much more, arguably, than what you might refer to as the basics. There's no question that teachers are finding it difficult to cover all of the material that is stipulated. But the other issue is that teachers need to feel competent to teach all of those various core subjects and to incorporate the capabilities which we've identified as 21st century learning requirements to make sure that they are actually part of the curriculum. So we need teachers who are really confident about incorporating all of those. I think one of our urgent tasks, absolutely, is to look at the curriculum and pare it back, as has been done in several countries. Singapore and Finland come to mind, British Columbia, another system. They have looked at their curricula over the last few years and said, we need to bring the curriculum back to what is doable and make sure that our teachers are very well qualified to teach it. That sounds fantastic,
Fiona. Except, of course, you know how it is with politicians. You get praised for what you add to a curriculum and too often criticised for what you take off, too many vested interests. But I think you're absolutely right. Fiona Mueller, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.
I should also add that a lot of the countries at the very top, China, Singapore, Japan, South Korea, etc., Finland, they've got more culturally cohesive societies, cohorts, and that also would help a teacher to teach more efficiently. I just point that out.